Good morning, church. It's great to be with you all virtually this morning, but I am certainly looking forward to the time when we can all see each other again and give each other hugs. I pray that you are blessed where you are and you are encouraged by this word. So we've just had the reading from John chapter 20 verses 24 to 29, and this episode is typically known as the Doubting Thomas episode. Thomas was one of Jesus' disciples, and he wasn't present when Jesus first appeared to his disciples, so he was very much relying on the hearsay of his fellow colleagues. But on hearing the message that Jesus had risen from the dead, Thomas was not buying it. He was like, no, unless I see his hands and the mark of the nails and place my finger into the mark of the nails and place my hand into his side, I will never believe. And we might look at Thomas and say, well, Thomas, you've known Jesus, you walked with Jesus. How can you doubt in such a way? And then I think about myself. I think about myself as a doctoral student and also as a head of department, as a teacher of psychology. The way I teach my students is to be critical. I teach them that when you hear information or when you read information, test it. Don't take it at face value. Don't trust it blindly. Be critical. Critically appraise it to see whether indeed it's saying and it's well verified and it's valid. So perhaps when I look at Thomas, I look at him from that perspective. He wanted to critically appraise the information that he had heard that Jesus had risen from the dead. And it's the same with us. When it comes to our faith in God, God does not desire for us to trust him blindly. That is not trust. That is quite, to be quite frank, is a bit silly. What he wants us to do is to trust in his character, to trust in his person, not even to trust in his acts, but trust in who he is and trust in who he's called you to be. So I put here, faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the tool that helps you push past your doubt. The fact that you have doubts as a Christian, the fact that I have doubts as a Christian is normal. And we look at the way Jesus responded to the doubts of Thomas. He responded by indeed allowing Thomas to put his finger through where they pierced the nails, to put his hand through his side. And that is a loving response. And every time I find that indeed I encounter doubts in my life, or perhaps I'm a bit discouraged, I'm saying, God, where are you? The Lord responds in such a loving way that he reveals himself afresh. And that equally is faith. Faith is even going to God when you have doubts. You know, as bizarre as it sounds, if you have a doubt and you take that doubt to God, that is faith, because you believe that he will respond. And he will always respond in a loving way by revealing himself to you. He won't shun you. We have to use and look at our faith as it's not a bargaining chip. It's not, oh God, I'm going to trust you if you do X, Y, Z for me. Faith says, regardless of whether it feels good or looks good, I'm still going to trust God. It says, Lord, even if you give and even if you take away, I'm still going to trust you. I remember the 3 Hebrew boys when they were thrown into the fire. This is in the book of Daniel chapter 3. Thrown into the fire for refusing to bow down to another God. And you know what they said? We're not going to bow down to your God. And our God is going to save us. But even if he doesn't save us, we're still going to trust him. And it's that part caught me. They decided to trust in God, to have faith in God, even if he did not save them. And that is what I call a top tier faith, which all of us are aspiring to get to. When we say that we have faith in God, and when we say that perhaps we've experienced moments of doubt, bring to remembrance the character of God. And bring to remembrance the times in which God has come through for you. Bring to remembrance the ways that he has made. Bring to remembrance the person that he is. Bring to remembrance the comfort that he gives your soul. Faith honors the relationship that you have with God above your present circumstances. And we might say, yes, Thomas, he had his doubts. Thomas was unsure. And even Jesus goes on to say, you've believed because you have seen, but blessed are those who believe and have not seen. And we are among those who perhaps we've believed And we haven't physically seen Jesus in 2020. We haven't physically seen him in 2019 or in years past. But we've certainly experienced his presence. So we are blessed for that reason. That even when we don't see it, we know that he's working. Even when we don't feel it, we know that indeed he's working everything out for our good. So we pray, Lord, that when we do have doubts, the same faith that pushes us to bring those doubts to you is the same faith that will carry us through. It's the same faith that reminds us of who you are. It's the same faith that reminds us of your character. And there's this beautiful song that goes, even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. While Thomas was doubting, while Thomas had his doubts from the account of his fellow colleagues, Jesus was working. Jesus was revealing himself. And I pray that even in times when we have our own doubts, that we will see that Jesus is working on our behalf and he's working everything out for our good.